Thank you. So nice of you. Warm welcome. Nice to see everybody again. Back to talk about best in class YouTube ads. Like Candace said, I've been here for 2.5 years, but I'll explain my experience in a second. But let's jump right into it. Lots of information to show you today, lots of data to show you. I'm a numbers gal, so we'll talk about all of that today. First off, like we always like to start, we exist to empower social ventures changing the world. It's a statement that really rings true to all of the people who work at Community Boost. I started off with this team when it was like 20 people, and now we're at 57, serving over 400 nonprofits, and we're really honored to do so. So yeah, really, really grateful to be here talking to you all today. A little bit about myself. Again, I'm a senior digital specialist. I've been here for about 2.5 years. I work on all things Google, from the ad grant to paid search to YouTube and display. And I actually got started in YouTube and display during the pandemic, actually. This is kind of when I really dug deep into YouTube and display, figured out the every little crevice of YouTube and display, and yeah, really started enjoying it and really finding value for our clients. So I'm excited to kind of talk to you about the development about it, what works, what doesn't work for our partners, and what you should be using in your YouTube campaign. So let's talk more about that. I'm originally from Seattle, and I really benefited from a lot of nonprofits and community orgs growing up in Seattle. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about serving the partners that we get to serve and are really, really grateful to be serving. So to start off, we did this last time too, but let's love to just hear where everybody's at. What's your experience with YouTube ads? Have you done them before? Have you even looked into doing them? Do you invest in it every single month? Love to know your experience. This helps give me a better starting point of, what to dive more into, what to explain more, and just love to hear kind of where y'all are at. So nobody's ever tried YouTube ads. That's great. I have lots of information for you all today. I can also answer questions at the very end too about more of like beginning steps of how do you start a YouTube channel and what to include in it and things like that. So if you have any questions around those types of things, got me there. Great. Awesome. So, majority of us here have never done it or never thought about it, but maybe never done it. So let's dive into more about what YouTube ads are, the opportunity there, and really why you should be starting YouTube ads right now. So we're going to talk about the key benefits of YouTube, how this channel is very different than probably any channel that you've been investing in right now, what marketing strategy should you be using, what to think about, and then I'll leave time for questions as well, because I know there tends to be a lot of questions with YouTube just because it is a relatively new platform that nonprofits are using. So I'll leave plenty of time for that. As you can tell, I'm really excited to be talking to you all about YouTube today. It's something that I'm really passionate about. So let's jump into it. Benefits. So some of the benefits are, one, probably the biggest benefit to YouTube and why you should be doing it, and why most of the time it's a no-brainer, is it's extremely affordable and really can cost you pennies to show up in front of one person. And I'll kind of explain how that budget system works in YouTube a little bit later as we look at some numbers from actual campaigns that we've run, but it's an extremely affordable channel to get you hundreds of thousands of impressions and views in the location targeting that you're hoping for. So again, pretty important reason there and benefit of YouTube. It's the second most visited site, which again kind of shows you the opportunity. The third one is, young adults are primarily, on YouTube, and there's across age ranges, we really see a bunch of demographics, age groups, genders being active on YouTube. But the primary demographic are males between 25 and 34 years old, are the most frequent YouTube users. My partner specifically falls within this demographic, and I think he streams more on YouTube than any other streaming platform like Netflix and YouTube and things like that. So it just kind of shows you just how much people are on these platforms. It really builds top of funnel traffic, which is super important, and I don't think we think about sometimes enough, but it builds that top of funnel traffic. And YouTube also does a really good job at being able to track that top of funnel traffic and putting them into certain audiences to use again. And then the fifth one that's kind of surprising to I think a lot of people, but it's something that's ever growing in the YouTube channel right now is you can advertise on TVs. And this is really important because when we think about smart TVs, people are using YouTube TV to stream a lot of new cable networks. I know my parents specifically have changed to YouTube TV for their cable because it's more affordable. So advertising on TVs is kind of becoming accessible now to all nonprofits instead of, going through local networks to produce a commercial. You're able to advertise on TV now for, again, pennies. So pretty cool benefits to YouTube, very unique to a lot of other channels as well. So let's talk about kind of, what I was talking about. How affordable is this channel? One thing I just want to highlight here, and I know some of these metrics can kind of be a little bit confusing at first, but I'm going to explain them. Again, an impression is going to be somebody who's watched 5 seconds or less of a video. You do not pay for any of these impressions. So this does not go into charging you. So 46,000 people have seen this ad. I didn't pay for any of that. I only paid for 26,000 people who watched 30 seconds or more. And this is important because anybody who watches 0 to 29 seconds of that video, we do not pay for. And that's important because we're gaining brand awareness, we're gaining brand recognition, we're telling our story, we are, activating them in some way about what we do. And that's important because it's a first step to top of funnel traffic to bring them through our funnel, right? And we're only paying 2 cents for every single person that we're showing the video in front of. We work with budgets anywhere from $500 a month to $1,000 a month to $10,000 a month in YouTube. But again, we see a very affordable cost per view is what this stands for. So 2 cents for every person who's watching 30 seconds or more. In a view, we can say that person is engaged in our video. They're not skipping through the video and they're actually really interested in what we have to say and learning more. So that's essentially what a view rate is. It's how many people are watching 30 seconds or more of the video. And we're seeing these view rates get better and better with targeting available options on YouTube. So yeah, it's really, a really interesting channel. The next thing I want to show you too is, where we're seeing these ads get delivered on, what device. Like I said before, TV screens are becoming more and more popular. We're seeing Google advertise more and more on them. 35% of our budget on this campaign was spent on TV screens and still had a really great engagement. And I know this chart might look a little bit daunting, but this really just shows you the opportunity that we can show up on TV screens, which is kind of a new form of marketing, a new form of commercial than we have done in the past, right? So, local network commercials, now it's pretty accessible at your fingertips to run a commercial on a TV for a local nonprofit for, again, 2 cents per person's viewing it, right? And why are all these important? Again, we're targeting a younger audience. I hear time and time again from the partners I get to work with that they want to be targeting people who are, younger. They want to build up that donor base. And this is one of the best ways to do it because, again, the primary age group in YouTube is between 25 to 34 years old men. And that's something that we can really use to our advantage. But again, we see it across age groups, almost evenly sometimes. Those are just the primary groups. So investing in those younger demographics can really benefit your marketing funnel and getting those donors in. Vast audience targeting, again, we can do interest targeting, we can do demographic targeting, we can do location targeting, a bunch of different options there. Again, with so many different people on YouTube, we can be pretty specific. And again, like you saw kind of in the engagement rates of that campaign right there, you saw we're doing it in a pretty well way where people are actually interested in what we're serving them. And we're understanding what content users are consuming as well. We, from YouTube campaigns, understand, who we want to be targeting and where Google finds that relevant on YouTube channels. That gives us a lot of information around who the user is, what type of content they're consuming. Do we want to change our audience targeting based on what Google is showing our ads next to, things like that. And the final one I forgot to add on here as well is YouTube's quite different in that it's the only thing people are consuming for that time before they have to skip. So that 5 seconds, really that person is waiting to hit that 5-second button to either skip that video or they're just watching it. And it's different than a search ad because in search, you can see it, you can scroll past it, you can say, yeah, it's not relevant. For Facebook or social media, Instagram, again, you're scrolling pretty fast and you might just skip over it. Here, you're actually holding their attention for at least 5 seconds before they're watching the video that they're clicking on. And that's really important because it's, again, a pretty unique value proposition to YouTube. So to kind of summarize some of these things, another thing that I'm going to talk about a little bit later more in depth, but some more unique capabilities of YouTube, remarketing audiences. So being able to capture people into an audience without them even clicking on the ad to go to the site. We can capture those audiences of people just who are highly engaged in the video. Conversions are definitely possible with YouTube with the right call to action, the right content, the right targeting. It takes a lot of learning audience and who you want to be targeting, but it's definitely possible. Ad types are definitely evolving with YouTube. I'll talk a little bit about the AI in YouTube. And then the final thing, this kind of goes around ad types, but ad sequencing, and making sure that you're showing certain ads at certain times in a sequence to tell a story to the user. So some pretty interesting ones. I'm going to go into a couple of these, the most important ones in a second, but some pretty unique capabilities to YouTube. Before we start talking about this, to go back here for a second, remarketing audiences are so important on any channel, particularly with YouTube. The unique proposition value here is that these users aren't even clicking to your site, but we're still gathering them in a remarketing audience. And this is super important to be investing in now, because I see a lot of partners come back to us in September, October, preparing for year end saying, hey, we want to start YouTube. And that's great because that's a great time to do YouTube campaigns. But what can make it stronger is having audiences that already recognize your brand name, who already have some touch points with your campaign, because we know that users need multiple touch points with getting to know the brand before they're actually going to convert. And so building up these remarketing audiences here are really, really important in order to use during year end, ask for donations, and support those conversion goals. So with that, to go back here, YouTube ad game planning sessions are really, really valuable to understand how can this fit into your overall strategy for the next year, into your year-end strategy. How can you start doing this now? So I'll talk more about this at the very end. Again, there's QR code here. Maria is also going to send a link as well at the end around signing up for this. But I highly recommend it because one of the biggest benefits of YouTube is getting in front of new users. And if we can capture those users into an audience, show them multiple videos, we have a higher chance of pulling them through the marketing funnel. And this is one of the only channels that allows you to create remarketing audiences without users even going to your site, which is pretty incredible. So keep that in mind as I keep talking, and more information to come at the end too. So let's talk about the 4 tips for creating best-in-class YouTube ads. What should you think about? Sometimes I think the most daunting aspect of YouTube ads is creative. And a lot of times partners are like, I don't have creative, or I don't have a videographer on my team, or, content might not be coming for a couple of months. Why do I invest in this now? And there's a lot of ways to get around that because we can repurpose videos. I actually yesterday was editing and trimming and cutting a video, adding a new end screen, adding new content to an old video to repurpose it right now, because videos can be repurposed. There's content that can be repurposed. And there's simple editing that we can do to still make these videos really relevant for you. So as much as I say, like, investing in content and creating content, there's also content that you've probably used in the past that we can still use. So, using videos from the past works really well. We've seen it work really well for many, many, many of our partners. So the types of videos that we kind of need from content, these are kind of like my 3 things that I would love to have from any brand that we work with. But 30-second videos are really important. 1 to 2 minute video storytelling videos are also really important of users getting to know the brand. And then a classic brand video. Because again, we're thinking around top of funnel traffic. We're thinking about top of funnel audiences. And that person needs to know what you do. They need to have an emotional pull towards your organization, or have some call to action to actually get involved. And these types of videos can support that. And it allows us to utilize a lot of different ad types, like I said before, that Google or YouTube has the opportunity to utilize. Besides the point of, utilizing old content, editing it, cutting it down, and it being really effective, I really believe that Google is only going to push YouTube content, even more video content, even more across platforms, but again, obviously specifically in YouTube. So really thinking about investing in creating 3 to 5 great videos a year for your campaigns is super important. And think about how you can repurpose them. Think about all of those different campaigns you have throughout the year. But investing in 3 to 5 great videos really allows you to recycle them. It allows us to use 2 videos one month, 2 other videos the next month, and kind of switch them back and forth, again, to keep top of mind for your audience. And these are some of the top videos I would say prioritize kind of creating themes around. The last 3 are kind of ideas. The top 3 is my holy grail, what I would really love for every brand to create. So brand introduction, like I said, a story about the brand and cause, and about your work. Those are like really simple ways to create videos to engage people and engage, again, your future donors, hopefully. The last 3 videos, again, are kind of videos that we can use. These are just ideas of types of videos that you can create. So what is a common myth about potentially a cause you serve? A what if video? What if we didn't do something, to kind of pull on that emotional side of the viewer? And then an impact video. I know nonprofits hear all this all the time, but impact videos are also really, really important. So definitely use those as a way to get to communicate your impact and get users pulled into your organization. So what does a high quality ad look like? Maria, I'm going to have you share that video example to kind of give you a good example of what this could look like. That we're going to actually play another video. There was no sound to that video. So we're going to try this again. Maria's going to actually use our backup video here.
Broken Ground, a podcast about environmental stories in the South and the people at the heart of them.
Some of them are just people just living in their homes who are not well known, who just want to be heard.
For the next few episodes, we're passing the mic to women in the South who are taking on environmental injustices.
Everybody has an expectation that their environment shouldn't hurt them.
Our latest season of Broken Ground by the Southern Environmental Law Center is available wherever you get your podcasts.
So great. This is one of my favorite videos that we've gotten to work with. But again, just the brand logo in the first 5 seconds, the pacing of it, all those things is just an example of something that's really simple. B-roll, a voiceover, brand logos in it. Those are the things that really just like stand out and super simple. So it doesn't have to be something super complicated, editing wise or things like that. It's just super simple. The other 2 videos attached to this slide deck that will also be going out are also great videos to have as a resource. Again, the number one thing that I like to highlight here too is the brand logo in the first 5 seconds. This really does help help this. It helps you be able to utilize all those impressions that you're getting on that video. So although we're getting 40,000 impressions on the video and only 26,000 of them are staying for 30 seconds, at least 46,000 of those people, the majority of those people are at least recognizing your brand name and seeing your brand logo. And that's something. And that really can help improve and impact your marketing funnel because we can show them multiple videos after that. So a brand name, brand logo, a hook in the first 5 seconds are really important. Again, these are just some examples of those there. This is another way of like an ad campaign format to use as well and talking around video content. So another way to think about this is having like a set of 3 videos together that kind of either build off of each other or have different asks in the video. So you'll see here, one, we're seeing engagement in the video go up. You're also seeing a very minimal cost as well. This is actually a test we're currently running for a client, but you're seeing cost or seeing engagement go up here, and you're seeing a good amount of impressions and clicks on these videos. But the main thing I wanted to highlight here is that these videos are building off of each other. So, and there's certain conditions for these videos as well. But main priority here is you want to talk about the content of these videos. So they're building off of each other. And as they build off of each other, there's more engagement in the video too, because people are recognizing the brand, they're wanting to know more and things like that. So the first one's more like just a general awareness. The second one is like a myth or a misconception people have. And the third one is like a donation ask. And again, as you can see, view rates are going up. This is a pretty minimal campaign, again, just as a test. But I wanted to show you kind of the increase in view rate and the decrease in cost per view as we start to find users who are more engaged and we're finding our target audience as well. So targeting, super, super, super important. I can't emphasize this enough. You need to know who your target audience is. If you don't know and have a hypothesis, don't be afraid to continue testing new audiences. Again, YouTube's a different platform. Not a lot of nonprofits invest or have tried YouTube. Once you invest in it, I think a lot of nonprofits see the benefits of that. And we have a lot of year-long clients or with partners who invest in it month over month over month, because again, we're building that top of funnel traffic to come back through a search ad or see us on a Facebook and Instagram ad. And that brand recognition really does benefit all those channels. So know who your target audience is. Is that somebody who is, between the ages of 25 to 34 and maybe a parent? Just understanding who that demographic is, what they're interested in, what are they also viewing on YouTube is important just to think through. It doesn't have to be accurate. It just has to be something that you're going to commit to test to see if it's right and make adjustments from there. And one of these ways to kind of think through this is a framework called design thinking. It's this training that I got is from Stanford University at their D school. It's called design thinking. It's a specific tool called an empathy map. You can YouTube this as we're talking about YouTube, but you can YouTube kind of a tutorial on how to do this, but it's very, very simple. It would be something like drawing this chart on a piece of paper, and you're going to put a user in the middle, and you're going to say this person thinks this way, they do this, they feel this way, and maybe they say certain things. And the says category can kind of confuse people sometimes. But one way I kind of explain this in a past presentation is if it's a mom that we're trying to target with trying to get access to a doctor for her son, she might say to herself, well, I don't have time to go to the doctor, or I don't have access to a car. So you can almost think of it as like excuses or ways that they think about pain points for them being able to do something as well. But the whole point of bringing this up is I want you to think about who this person is. What do they think about? What are barriers for them? Where are they at on the internet? Because as you start to ask those questions, even if they aren't necessarily specifically this empathy map, asking those questions around maybe age, demographic, interest, those 3 things can at least put you in the right step to finding out more information. Third thing is, as I'm like running out of time a little bit, utilizing remarketing. Like I said before, YouTube, you don't have to have that audience. That person doesn't have to click on the ad to be put into this remarketing audience. And it's so important to build this up specifically for your end, because we're building up people who are just have some touch points with the brand, which then we can pull them through the marketing funnel more by telling them more of a story, repeating, showing them ads and things like that. So really, really important. As you can see here, we grew this audience to 81,000 just for YouTube in a couple of months. And that's really important, again, to start early, because by year end, this audience is going to be probably over 100,000, and allows us to know these people are engaged in a video that we showed as an ad. These people are relevant to us. They will probably have at least some brand recognition. They've seen the videos at least once or twice. And potentially we can ask them for a donation or have a certain call to action for them. So really, really important. Fourth thing is lean into Google's AI. Like I kind of mentioned this at the beginning too, specifically in YouTube as well. Google has a lot of AI like any other platform, but a lot of smart bidding strategies to optimize for certain goals that's really good at giving you insight, because if you're making a prediction about an audience, it'll give you more information around who that audience actually is. What are they watching on YouTube? Where do they live? Auto apply recommendations is kind of just refers to, again, Google's recommendations on what they think you should do for a certain campaign. And then also Google analyzing ads. It's telling you what's good about the ad, how do you rank compared to other competitors in the space, things like that. And that information is really helpful. Google's AI is really giving you the power to better understand your audience and better target, so you can go after more conversions. You can go after audiences that are going to be more likely to convert. And then just a bonus tip here, and this really relates to YouTube in that this is one of many channels that these campaigns do. This is a relatively new campaign. It's called Performance Max campaign. It includes a lot of different channels, but specifically allows you to create ad search copy, YouTube display copy. It has you input a bunch of different assets, and it shows across channels, which is shown to increase conversion rates by 13%, and also give you a similar cost per acquisition or CPA as other platforms. So it's a multi-funnel marketing campaign, but includes YouTube in it. And it's another way to just elevate your YouTube campaigns as well. I know I'm really running out of time for questions, but closing thoughts here are video content, super important. Utilize Google's AI and understand what it's learning from your campaigns. Remarketing audiences, remarketing audiences, remarketing audiences. Please use them. They will prepare you for year end. They will prepare you to ask donors to donate. And research and look at data about your current donor or user, understand information from them, and use that in your campaigns. So I will answer a couple of questions with some time. Candace might be nice enough to give me a little bit more time too. I know that was bad on me for going a little bit long, but I will answer any questions you have. Again, free YouTube ad game planning session. Let's game plan for your year end. Let's start preparing now to create those top of funnel audiences, to pull them through, to communicate more about your nonprofit, and get them to convert in year end when we need them the most. So yeah, let's answer some questions. Where should we start? Let's just start here on an easy question. Would a 9-minute promo video be too long on YouTube? It's not necessarily ideal. We definitely can use it. We're not going to see necessarily like the biggest return on ad spend there, or clicks, or in engagement. A lot of times we see longer videos having less engagement because YouTube viewers are seeing that as a long video, and so they're not going to watch more than a couple seconds of it because they don't want to commit to that. So a lot of times I see the best videos between like 1 minute and 30 and 2 seconds, 2 minutes, not 2 seconds, 2 minutes there. So, and long story short, less than 2 minutes would be great. How do we decide which video works for YouTube and which works for other platforms? It's a great question. I think video content can honestly be used across platforms. We haven't really seen any data that convinces us that one video type is going to work better than another on YouTube. I would say YouTube's going to be more longer ads than like a social media. So I would say you probably have up to 2 minutes, which on like an Instagram or a Facebook, you'd want it to be a little bit shorter. So there's really nothing from the data side of things of analyzing the videos that we've run that says a video that works on Facebook can't work on YouTube. I think they can kind of be across platforms, in my opinion. I know I'm like short on
There's so many great questions. There was a couple in the chat. So I saw one that said, Taryn asked, with videos focused on a donation ask, are you seeing conversions directly attributed to them?
That's a great question. It really depends if we've been able to hone in on who your donor is. So understanding from Google Analytics or your past donor campaigns, understanding more your demographic, and I really mean like where they live, what's their income bracket, what's their age range. Those things are really important for those types of asks. That's why it's important to kind of hold these remarketing audiences and refine them down. So there's a lot coming out with YouTube in terms of like ad formats and donation, like calls to action, donation button clicks. That could be really helpful for nonprofits specifically. It's not necessarily, I don't like to say that it's a converting platform, but it's a way to get those donors to convert as kind of like a first step. That's a great question.
Yeah, no, I thought that was fantastic. So I'm glad that we caught that in the chat. Also, please continue to put your questions in the Q&A pane. We'd love to get to them. Annie asked, can you go further into what remarketing actually looks like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for remarketing, how this works is if I serve an ad to a user and they watch 30 seconds or more of that video, they get tagged by YouTube. There's a lot of back end to this. They essentially get tagged by YouTube and put into a remarketing audience. That remarketing audience then holds everybody who's watched 30 seconds or more of an ad and for a certain amount of time. So usually I put those people in that audience for between 180 days to 365 days, depending on goals. And then you get to target those people who've already watched one of your ads before and were engaged in it, and you get to deliver them another ad. They never come out of that remarketing audience until that time period has been up. And so this really allows us to target them multiple times, show them multiple videos because they were engaged in that first video.
Perfect. Yeah, no, super helpful. Because we talk a lot about remarketing strategies, so that was great to hear a little bit more. Christina asked, do you have to have an active brand account on YouTube for ads? My org has one, but not many videos or followers.
That's a great question. So you need a YouTube channel to actually post the video on YouTube, but the YouTube ads do not direct any traffic to the channel unless you want it to. So it's really not important. It's not necessarily super important for that YouTube channel to be like built out, have a bunch of videos on it and things like that. It's just most important to post the video on your channel. It can be also public or unlisted. Unlisted just means that unless somebody has the link to that video, they cannot see it on your YouTube page. So you just need a YouTube channel essentially. And that's pretty much about it.
Awesome. Sounds simple to get started then.
Yeah.
I also went ahead and put the game planning session link in the chat. So if anyone wants to go ahead and just book that with us, and you can sit down with our team, we can kind of walk you through getting started with YouTube ads for your nonprofit. Cool. Well, Lisa asked, can you choose what types of YouTube content your ads are placed on to ensure the content aligns with your brand's mission and values?
Yeah, that's a great question. Absolutely, it can. A lot of times the types of content that I try to kind of like prioritize either falls within the theme of the video or the nonprofit, but also like local news networks are also a great other YouTube channel or type of content to also target. But you absolutely can choose the themes in which your content shows up next to. It's not necessarily guaranteed or catch all. YouTube kind of has some broader targeting as well. So it's not going to be, you're only going to show up on news channels, or you're always going to show up on, let's just say product reviews or things like that. It's not guaranteed, but it will help you a lot show up next to videos that align with it. That's part of my job, is going kind of into your YouTube content, your YouTube campaigns, and excluding things that aren't relevant. So we're not wasting money there, and learning from that as well. It's kind of part of our big job there.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the advantages of working with you or a team like Community Boost, because you have people that are actually like monitoring everything, making sure that it's performing well, and can like make adjustments for you as it goes on. So yeah.
There's so much learning to be done with YouTube as well. Like we can target based on interest and demographic, but really what we want to do is we want to be able to see the data and make data-driven decisions on what audience is most engaged in the videos, the audience that is most relevant to you, and spend our money wisely there as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Isabel. We have time for like maybe one or two more questions, and then we're going to take a little bit of a break and come back for our final session. So Annie asked, what if your ads falls into the special ad category? Does this place limitations on the audience your ad is shown?
Yes, Annie, this is what I deal with on a daily basis, especially working with nonprofits. So we personally have a lot of Google Rep contacts that we work with on this, because this, really affects nonprofits, being kind of, this is kind of where you live, is in that special ad category, whether it's housing, employment, health, that kind of stuff. So there are limitations on it. Sometimes it's eligible limited, which just means it can show during certain times. There's also ways that like ads cannot show if they're like specifically around like drug and alcohol abuse. But there are ways kind of to allow us to still serve these ads in the special ad category. It's a lot of working with Google Reps and understanding maybe what we need to change. But they still can add, might just be on a smaller scale.
Super helpful. Yeah, I guess like any thoughts, like what would you recommend to a nonprofit that's really just getting started with YouTube, and just interested in taking that first step? So yeah, would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations.
Yeah. It's funny when we talk about like kind of the first steps about YouTube. I always think back to my first internship with YouTube SEO and analyzing videos for a brand around how to make their YouTube videos better organically. And I think some of the first steps to do for that, particularly, is obviously step one: create your YouTube channel. Make sure that you're uploading videos to it. The second thing is some of the most popular videos on YouTube are how-to videos or tutorials. And I think there's a lot of room for nonprofits to come into that space and deliver free content to people who are needing those resources, whether it's how to apply to a job, or how do I have access to, how can I get access to a career counselor, or things like that. Your nonprofits creating content around answering questions, I think, is a great way for you to start off your YouTube channel and then be able to in the future go towards using those videos as ads and being really specific on who we're targeting for them. So I would say create content, like I said, around your brand, communicating what your brand does, but also another opportunity is creating content around actually serving the people that you're interested in serving as well, and creating content around solving those questions.